Sorry.
Okay, we're live on the air right now. Uh, Let me just make sure that this is not going to bounce back. I have to silence the video. So,
Sorry.
okay, good. All right, good. I'll shut that off. Um, can you silence because we're hearing sounds in the background, Maharaj?
Sure.
We're hearing japa and
Jai Ho.
you're definitely in the Brahmachari ashram, we can tell. Okay, there we are. Okay. Krishna 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 Hey 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 Krishna 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 Rakshamam Krishna 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 Rakshamam Krishna 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 Pahimam Krishna 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 Pahimam Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rakshamam Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rakshamam Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Pahimam Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Pahimam By Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachadishatarine. Thank you very much to all the assembled saintly personalities. And we have I hope he won't be a special guest anymore. He'll always be special, but I hope we have Nrsinga Prabhu who's come as well. So that's really great. He's here.
Nrsinga, yes.
Yes. How's your health, Nrsinga? Are you recovering?
Hare Krishna. Gaur Maharaj, Dandavat Pranams. Nice to see you. And Hare Ji. I think it's starting to recover, but slowly and hopefully surely.
All right. So we're
on. Still weak. Okay.
Still weak?
Yeah. Anyway, don't worry.
Okay. We Krishna willing, may he cure you as soon as possible.
Thank you.
All right. So we're on chapter 50, working our way through the Krishna book. I believe there's 90 chapters, so we're a little over halfway. And Deliverance of Mucukunda, um, as as uh, as everyone will recall uh, from the last session, Krishna ran into the cave, and Kalyavan was chasing after him, and he managed to because Mucukunda asked for a boon, right? He had been fighting for a long time, and his boon was to fry anyone to the max that disturbed him from his rest. And so that's where we are right now, the deliverance of Mucukunda, which is chapter 50 in the Krishna book, but actually chapter 51 in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So I have a little slideshow that I pulled together of slides of paintings, which we could look at after, hopefully if there's some time left over. So let me get back to the text itself here. Can everyone see that? The Deliverance of Mucukunda, chapter 50. Yes? Why don't you begin, Maharaj, and then Nirhari and Bhavatrini, then Nrsinga, then the Hush Prabhu is also here. Thank you for coming, Nahush, all the way from Michigan. Is that right?
Yes, Hare Krishna. I'm so happy to be here.
Very good. Thank you. So yes, Maharaj, please begin. Then Nirhari, Bhavatrini, then Nrsinga, then yourself, then to me.
Okay. Chapter 50, Deliverance of Mucukunda. When Maharaj Parikshit heard this incident of Kalyavan's being burned to ashes, he inquired about the sleeping man from Shukadeva Goswami. Who was he and why was he sleeping here? There. How had he achieved so much power that instantly by his glance Kalyavan was burned to ashes? How did he happen to be lying down in the cave of the hill? Many questions were put before Shukadeva Goswami, and Shukadeva also answered as follows. My dear king, this person was born in a very great family of King Ikshwaku, in which Lord Ramachandra was also born. But he happened to be the son of a great king known as Mandapa. He himself was also a great soul, was known popularly as Mucukunda. King Mucukunda was a very strict follower of the Vedic principles of Brahminical culture, and he was truthful to his promise. He was so powerful that even demigods like Indra and others used to ask him to please help in fighting with the demons. As such, he often fought against the demons to protect the demigods. The commander-in-chief of the demigods, as known as Kartikeya, was satisfied with the fighting of King Mucukunda. But once he asked the king, having taken so much trouble in fighting with the demons, retire from fighting and take a rest. The commander-in-chief Kartikeya addressed King Mucukunda, my dear king, you have sacrificed everything for the sake of the demigods. You had a very nice kingdom undisturbed by any kind of enemy. You left that kingdom, you neglected your opulence and possessions, and you never cared for fulfillment of your personal ambition. Due to your long absence from your kingdom while fighting with the demons on behalf of the demigods, your family, your children, your relatives, and your ministers have all passed away in due course of time. Time and tide wait for no living man. Now, even if you retire to your home, you will find that no one is living there. The influence of time is very strong. All your relatives have passed away in due course of time. Time is so strong and powerful because It is a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Time is therefore stronger than the strongest. By the influence of time, changes in subtle things can be effected without any difficulty. No one can check the progress of time. As an animal tamer tames animals according to his will, so time also enters things according to its own will. No one can supersede the arrangement made by the Supreme Time.
Okay, before Nirhari, before you continue, I just wanted to say that it seems because of the circumstance when you're reading, because you're in a room with many other people, all their voices are interfering.
Yeah,
with
I'll
you.
get a
It's-
microphone. I have a microphone.
Yeah,
so-
it's really quite disruptive. I'm not blaming you, just the circumstance.
yeah, hold on.
Yay, Mahabudhi Prabhu has come. He's quietly in the wings, absorbing himself in Krishna Katha.
Tahoe,
Yeah, that's
Mahabodhi.
great. Yeah, thank you for coming, Mahabudhi Prabhu. So, Baba Trini, I know Prabhupada ordered you to hear the Krishna book every day. I would like to ask your permission if I may ask a question, or would you rather me to keep my questions till later?
Oh, you can ask a question. I don't
Okay.
mind.
No, I know you love to do lots of reading, and we need to because we could easily take a paragraph and spend the whole night discussing it. Yeah, a couple questions. There's reference here to King Mucukunda speaking to Kartikeya, and I'm trying to remember, is there not some reference? Is it either in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita or 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says that he is Kartikeya or Skanda when it comes to what, battle, or am I just imagining things? Does anyone know? No response on that? Is everybody on mute?
Okay, our mic was shut off.
Oh,
The question, what was the question again? If there's reference to Kartikeya by Krishna?
in either the 7th or 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna says that he is the light of the sun and the moon, the taste and water, and so forth, does he not make reference to Kartikeya, or who is also Skanda, the same personality?
Do I
What's
know
his
who
son?
that is?
Sorry?
I can't remember. All I know is that of men I'm the monarch, but I can't remember if he mentions
Okay,
Kartikeya.
maybe Mahabudhi knows, maybe Nrsinga knows. Any answer from your quarter or Avadut Maharaj? Nobody has a response on that?
Wow.
Okay.
Are their mics off?
I thought there was no, they're all their mics are off. Everyone's mic is off. Except you. So I can't tell if there's no answer or if it's because everyone's mic is off. Mahabudhi, your mic is on now. Good.
Yeah, Gora, I'm taking dinner right now, so I'm just listening. That's why.
That's fine. That's fine. But
I got it. My class is in a half an hour, so I thought I'd tune in.
Okay, cool. All right. That's fine.
Thank you, Mahabudhi. We're having lunch too, so.
Okay, so all right, so I'll just call on Nahusha.
Okay, sorry, Prabhu, I was having trouble with my controls, and I did quickly check. He does say in 10:24 that amongst warrior chiefs, I am Kartikeya.
I thought so. Thank you.
Yeah.
I've seen temples in India that are dedicated to Kartikeya or Skanda.
Many.
Is that also is he also called Murga?
Yes, also Murga. And because he rides on a peacock, which is also Murgi.
Yes. Murgi. And also Vrindavan, our oldest, he connected with people that in Iran or Iraq that
I don't know.
The worship on the mountains, they were worshippers of Kartikeya.
Interesting. So Kartikeya is also, his peacock is called Murgi.
No, Muruga.
Murga.
He's Murga.
And, he-
Yeah.
and he's also the controller of Mars in the Jyotish.
Oh, I see.
Right.
Interesting. Okay. I'll get back to the book. Thank you for that elaboration. So now, okay, if you're busy eating, I won't ask you to read then Nirhari and Bhavatrini. I'll ask for someone else. Would you prefer? I'm trying to understand who's available and who's not, so we can move on. Okay, now and Maharaj, could you please mute yourself because the japa session is coming through on the recording. I'm sorry, I don't want to mute you, but okay, Nahush, please read 2
Thus
paragraphs.
address,
Go on.
thus addressing, right?
Yes.
Okay, thus addressing Mucukunda, the demigods requested him to ask for any kind of benediction he might be pleased with. Accepting the benediction of liberation. Liberation cannot be awarded by any living entity except the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. Therefore, another name for Lord Vishnu or Krishna is Mukunda, he who can award liberation. King Mucukunda had not slept for many, many years. He was engaged in the duty of fighting, and therefore he was very tired. So when the demigod offered benediction, Mucukunda simply thought of sleeping. He replied as follows: My dear Kartikeya, the best of the demigods, I want to sleep now. I want from you the following benediction. Grant me the power to burn by my mere glance anyone to ashes who tries to disturb my sleeping and awakens me untimely. Please give me this benediction. The demigod agreed and also gave him the benediction that he would be able to take complete rest. Then King Mucukunda entered the cave of the mountain.
So now, Hush Prabhu, I think until Nirhari, Bhavatrini, and Mahabodhi Prabhu inform us, they're all honoring prasadam. So I think the reading is just me and you, as far as we
Okay,
know, because I don't see Avadut Maharaj here.
No, I'm
do you
here,
want me
Gora.
to do?
I'm here.
Excuse me?
I'm here.
Oh,
I'm here too,
okay.
Gora.
Good.
I'm here too.
Oh, yes.
Nrsinga.
Nrsinga. All right, good. Thank you. Okay, so all right, let's see who's next. I'm just trying to understand who's available. Can you, Nrsinga Prabhu, please read 2 paragraphs.
On the strength of the benediction of Kartikeya, Kalayavana was burned into ashes simply by Muchukunda's glancing at him. When the incident was over, Krishna came before King Mucukunda. Krishna had actually entered the cave to deliver King Mucukunda from his austerity, but he did not first appear before him. He arranged at first Kalayavana should come before him. That is the way of the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He does one thing in such a way that many other purposes are served. He wanted to deliver King Mucukunda, who was sleeping in the cave, and at the same time, he wanted to kill Kalayavana, who had attacked Mathura city. By this action, he served all purposes. When Lord Krishna appeared before Mucukunda, the king saw him dressed in a yellow garment, his chest marked with the symbol of Shrivats, and the Kaustuba mani hanging around his neck. Krishna appeared before him with 4 hands as Vishnumurti, with a garland called Vajjayanti hanging from his neck down to his knees. He was looking very lustrous. His face was very beautifully smiling, and he had nice jeweled earrings in both his ears. Krishna appeared more beautiful than a human can conceive. Not only did he appear in this feature, but he glanced over Mucukunda with great splendor, attracting the king's mind. Although he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the oldest of all, he looked like a fresh young boy, and his movement was just like that of a free deer. He appeared extremely powerful. His excellence in power is so great that every human being should be afraid of him.
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to say to Mahabodhi Prabhu that since he can only stick around for another 20 minutes or so, that I would appreciate getting any comments from you before you depart. Okay, Mahabodhi Prabhu? That would be great. So, okay, I guess it's unless Nirhari and Bhavatrini are still honoring Prasadam, I'll read. When King Mucukunda saw Krishna's magnificent features, he wondered about his identity, and with great humility, he began to inquire from the Lord. My dear Lord, may I inquire how it is that you happen to be in the cave of this mountain? Who are you? I can see that your feet are just like soft lotus flowers. How could you walk in this forest full of thorns and hedges? I am simply surprised to see this. Are you not, therefore, the Supreme Personality? Oh, there's some japa going on in the background. If you could please mute. Thank you. Are you not, therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the most powerful amongst the powerful? Are you not the original source of all illumination and fire? Can I consider you one of the great demigods, like the sun, the moon, or Indra, king of heaven? Or are you the predominating deity of any other planet? Mucukunda knew well that every higher planetary system has a predominating deity. He was not ignorant like modern men who consider that this earthly planet is full of living entities and all others are vacant. The inquiry from Mucukunda about Krishna's being the predominating deity of a planet, unknown to him, is quite appropriate because he was a pure devotee of the Lord. King Mucukunda could immediately understand that Lord Krishna, who had appeared before him in such an opulent feature, could not be one of the predominating deities in the material planets. He must be the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, who has as many Vishnu forms. He therefore took him to be Purushottam, Lord Vishnu. He could see also that the dense darkness within the mountain cave had already been dissipated due to the Lord's presence. Therefore, he could not be other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He knew very well that wherever the Lord is personally present, by his transcendental name, quality, form, etc., there cannot be any darkness of ignorance. He is like a lamp placed in the darkness. He immediately illuminates a dark place. Any comment from you, Avadut Maharaj or Mahabodhi, before you depart?
Yeah. Have you ever heard of a man begetting a boy?
Can we see you on the screen, Maharaj? Or you have a beautiful, you look like a lake right now, a beautiful lake. But can we see you? Thank you. That's much better. Yeah. What about a boy you were saying?
I said, have you any record of anybody, any male giving birth to a child?
Of course not.
Well, Mandata was begotten by Yuvanashwa, the king.
Oh,
What?
really?
Yeah. Yuvanashwa drank some water, kept at some sage's hermitage, not knowing the sage had prepared for his wife to beget a child. So Yuvanashwa took it, and then he gave birth to who became King Mandata.
How do you say his name? Avawashwa?
Yuvanashwa.
Juvanashwa.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Is there any comment about how this birth took place? Just like, for instance, Kunti, at least she gave birth to Karna through her ear. I'm just wondering.
Which orifice he came out. I don't know those details, but Mandata was later killed in a battle with Lavanasura.
Ah,
And Lavanasura was killed subsequently by Satrugna, the brother of Rama. And when he captured, how did it go? When Ram's brother Satrugna went to fight Lavanasura, Lavanasura had an invincible weapon, but Satrugna somehow worked it out so he couldn't get his weapon and he had to fight without it. So he defeated him. But Lavanasura, as I remember, took the deity of Varaha from Rama when he left. And that deity is there in Mathura. There's a white and a black deity of Varaha, and one of them, I don't know which one, is the deity that Satrugna took with him when he went to battle with Lavanasura.
Shatrugna was worshipping a deity of Varaha.
No, Ram, he got it from Ram.
Ram, okay.
So he took it when he left to take on the battle with Lavanasura. Lavanasura had a spear or something like that. He inherited from his father, I believe, and it was an invincible spear. But somehow in the battle, he couldn't get a hold of it. And therefore, Satrugna defeated him. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Rasangi, thank you for coming. Are you able to read, or are you busy driving or honoring prasadam? Or maybe Mahabudhi wants to say something.
I'm driving.
Okay. All right. Shall we continue on? Or any comment from anyone before we continue? Okay. Who's reading next? Who's available besides myself, Naush, Nrsinga, and Maharaj? We'll go back to Maharaj if there's no one else available to read that hasn't read. All right, Avadut Maharaj, please read 2 paragraphs.
No, Gora, you haven't read yet, so you have to read some.
I didn't? I thought I did.
No.
Yes, I read.
Did you? You read?
I read. You were gone.
Oh, okay. All right. King Mucukunda became very much anxious to know about the identity of Lord Krishna. And therefore he said, "Oh, best of the human beings, if you think that I am fit to know about your identity, then kindly tell me who you are. What is your parentage? What is your occupational duty? And what is your family tradition?" King Mucukunda thought it wise, however, to identify himself to the Lord. Otherwise, he had no right to ask the Lord's identity. Etiquette is such that a person of less importance cannot ask the identity of a person of higher importance without first disclosing his own identity. King Mucukunda therefore informed Lord Krishna, "My dear Lord, I must inform you my identification. I belong to the most celebrated dynasty of King Ikshwaku. But personally, I am not as great as my forefather. My name is Mucukunda. My father's name was Mandata, and my grandfather's name was Yuvanashwa, the great king. I was very much fatigued due to not resting for many thousands of years, and because of this, all of my bodily limbs were flattened and almost incapable of acting. In order to revive my energy, I was taking rest in the solitary cave, but I have been awakened by some unknown man who has forced me to wake up, although I was not willing to do so. For such an offensive act, this person has been burnt to ashes simply by my glancing over him. Fortunately, now I can see you and your grand and beautiful features. I think, therefore, you are the cause of killing my enemy. My dear Lord, I must admit that due to the effulgence of your body, unbearable to my eyes, I cannot see you properly. I cannot fully realize that by the influence of your effulgence, my powerful potency has been diminished. I can understand that you are quite fit for being worshipped by all living entities. Seeing King Mucukunda so anxious to know about his identity, Lord Krishna began to answer, smiling, as follows. My dear king, it is practically impossible to tell about my birth, appearance, and disappearance in activities. Perhaps you know that my incarnation on Anantadev has a limited mouth, and for an unlimited time, he has been trying to narrate fully about my name, fame, qualities, activities, appearance, disappearance, and incarnation. But still, he's not been able to finish. Therefore, it is not possible to know exactly how many names and forms I possess. It may be possible for material scientists to estimate the number of atomic particles which make up this earthly planet, but the scientists cannot enumerate my unlimited names, forms, and activities. There are many great sages and saintly persons who are trying to make a list of my different forms and activities, yet they have failed to make a complete list. But since you are so anxious to know about me, I may inform you that presently I have appeared on this planet just to annihilate the demoniac principles of the people in general and to reestablish the religious principles enjoined in the Vedas. I've been invited for this purpose by Brahma, superintending deity of the universe. And thus, I have now appeared in the dynasty of the Yadus as one of their family members. I was specifically taken birth as a son of Vasudeva in the Yadu dynasty, and people therefore know me as Vasudeva, son of Vasudeva. You may also know that I have killed Kamsa, who was in a previous life known as Kalanimi, as well as Pralabhasura, demon who was present before you and acted as my enemy. And you very kindly burn him into ashes by glancing over him. My dear King Mucukunda, you are my great devotee, and just to show you my causeless mercy, I have appeared in this form. I am very affectionately inclined towards my devotees, and in your previous life, before your present condition, you acted as my great devotee. I prayed for my causeless mercy. I've therefore come to see you to fulfill your desire. And now you can see me to your heart's content. My dear King, now you can ask me any benediction that you wish. I am prepared to fulfill your desire. It is my eternal principle that anyone who comes under my shelter must have all his desires fulfilled by my grace.
Mahaburi Prabhu, I know you're leaving shortly. Do you have a comment on anything we've read, please?
I was just by hearing Avadut Maharaj speak and Nishinga earlier, that I was appreciating how Krishna, he does one activity and can serve so many different purposes, just like, having, Mucukunda, wake up and destroy Jarasandha, and at the same time benedict him by so many of his services to get him the darshan. So our Lord is both supremely clever and very, very merciful. This pastime sort of shows both aspects, so that those who can see Krishna can see he's also very personal, but to speak of also very clever. And that's about all I got from this right now.
Thank you. Nrsimha Prabhu, there's been quite a few science references. You've written the book. What is on science? What is the title, please?
The End of Evolution, ?
Right. So in your science research, do you see any connections between anything you've written and what we've been reading regarding science?
In this here, Oh, I mean, the only thing that I think all of this is devotees think, just what we just read, that the material scientist may be able to count how many atoms there are in the universe, but it is not possible to speak to an end of my glories, my activities, my pastimes, my qualities. And at the same time, I'm thinking, yeah, that I have no clue what it must be like to be on the transcendental platform. I mean, in the material world, we're used to, of course, as devotees, we're incredibly fortunate. We're hearing Hari Katha from so many great authorized sources, but the general mood is just like the Muslims, for instance, say God is great. That's it. God is great.
Allah
He's
Akbar.
good and he's powerful and he's just, but that's there's not much of a list. He's great. How
Yeah.
great is he? What does that
Oh.
mean?
Mm.
So just thinking about that, and realizing, I really don't want to put Muslims down because I'm in the same place. If somebody asks me to speak about God, I can't go on for more than a few minutes. I can tell some pastimes, what have you. But the reality is that one who is present, who's conscious of God, of Krishna, then there's absolutely no end to what they can say. And that's a devotee.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Nirhari and Bhavatrini, are you available to read yet, or are you still honoring Prasanam?
No, yeah, Prabhu. Sorry.
Okay, that's okay. Now, Hush Prabhu, did you want to read 2 paragraphs?
Sure.
Or Avadut Maharaj, did you have anything to say before we move on? No?
I do, but I'll save it till later.
Okay, thank you. Nahush?
Okay. When Lord Krishna ordered King Mucukunda to ask the benediction from him, the king became very joyful. He immediately remembered the prediction of Gargamuni, who had foretold long before that in the 28th millennium of
Vaivasvata.
Vaivashvata Manu, Lord Krishna would appear on this planet. As soon as he remembered this prediction, he began to understand that the Supreme Person, Narayana, was present before him as Lord Krishna. He immediately fell down at his lotus feet and began to pray as follows. My dear Lord, or Supreme Personality of Godhead, I can understand that all living entities on this planet are illusioned by your eternal energy and are enamored of the illusory satisfaction of sense gratification. Being fully engaged in illusory activities, they are reluctant to worship your lotus feet, and because they are unaware of the benefits of surrendering unto your lotus feet, they are subjected to various miserable conditions of material existence. They are foolishly attached to so-called society, friendship, and love, which simply produce different kinds of miserable conditions. Illusioned by your external energy, everyone, both man and woman, is attached to this material existence, and all are engaged in cheating one another in a great society of the cheaters and the cheated. These foolish persons do not know how fortunate they are to have obtained this human form of life, and they are reluctant to worship your lotus feet. By the influence of your external energy, they are simply attached to the glare of material activities. They are attached to so-called society, friendship, and love like dumb animals that have fallen into the dark well. The example of a dark well is given because in the fields there are many wells, unused for years and covered over by grass. And the poor animals, without knowing of them, fall into them, and unless they are rescued, they die. Because being captivated by a few blades of grass, the animals fall into the dark well and meet death. Similarly, foolish persons, without knowing the importance of the human form of life, spoil it simply for sense gratification and die unnecessarily without any useful purpose.
Thank you. Unless someone else is available to read, I'll read. My dear Lord, I am not an exception to this universal law of material nature. I am also one of those foolish persons who has wasted his time for nothing, and my position is especially difficult. On account of my being situated in the royal order, I was more puffed up than ordinary persons. An ordinary man thinks of becoming the proprietor of his body or of his family, but I began to think in that way on a larger scale. I wanted to be the master of the whole world, and as I became puffed up with ideas of sense gratification, my bodily concept of life became stronger and stronger. My attachment for home, wife, and children, for money, and for supremacy over the world became more and more acute. In fact, it was limitless. So I remained always attached to thoughts of my material living conditions. Therefore, my dear Lord, I wasted so much of my valuable lifetime without any benefit. My conception of life having been intensified, I began to think of this material body, which is just a bag of flesh and bones, as the all in all. And in my vanity, I was like a dog who believes that he has become the king of human society. In this misconception of bodily life, I began to travel all over the world, accompanied by my military strength, soldiers, charioteers, elephants, and horses, assisted by many commanders and puffed up by power. I could not trace out your lordships, who is always sitting within my heart as the most intimate friend. I did not care for you, and this was the fault of my so-called exalted material condition. I think that, like me, all living creatures are careless about spiritual realization and are always full of anxieties, thinking, what is to be done? What is next? But because we are strongly bound by material desires, we continue to remain in craziness. Mahbudi, last comment from you, or did you leave already? There's no
This is
comment.
the epitaph. This is the epitaph of all living entities. As Mucukunda was reading this, we can all probably identify it.
Yeah.
And if we can't identify it, then shame on us. But this is the being written in right in front of us, just like we get sometimes from Prabhupada or Bhaktivinoda Thakur or Srila Gurudev or others. The truth, glaring there in your face about this is our lot. And when we've heard, oh, you're not this body, you're a spirit soul, and we have so many different aspects, but in the ultimate aspect, just like a little bit with that Nrsimha Prabhu had mentioned earlier, what is the use if we don't have this realization? The realization means that we have some association, we have some relationship with Krishna, Radha and Krishna. And in that relationship, or even with Guru, and in that relationship, we've developed some aspect of love. And therefore, the transcendental realizations will come simply by that mood of service, surrender, and love and affection. So that's what we're all looking for. But we've become cheated by our own ill aims or ill objectives, thinking that, oh, I'm born in a good family, or like Mucukunda, I'm very powerful, my military strength, all these things, and then become attached to name, fame, honor, pastime, love, and distinction. And we want to expand our material wealth and our material fame and all these different things. We're just digging deeper. It's like if you're in a car, you just put it in reverse and you stepped on the gas. You're going backwards instead of going forwards. So all these things are like, they're aspirations of the materialists of thinking, I can become happy. This will make me happy. But what happens? We become burdened, by the thoughts of, wealth and what desire and prestige and the opposite sex, all these things. And they're tearing us apart in illusion. And ultimately what happens, we grow old, and then in our attachments, then we lament, oh, we can't enjoy like this anymore. and then we die and again have to take birth again in some 1,8,400,000 different species of life. So this is Mucukunda at least could realize this. Understand his exalted position, that he's telling you these things, and so that we could understand it, and it's being put in there. He had these realizations, and he said, I've also, one of those same persons that have this has taken place to. But the difference is because he could realize that he somehow, by pleasing Lord Krishna, he was able to get his darshan. So ultimately, this is meant for our education as well, and this part of the Bhagavatam. So those of us enshrined in our egoistic, false misconception of this material body and world, can wake up a little bit before we, leave this world to understand that this is not what we should be doing, and we should better to follow the order of our spiritual preceptors, and here, at their lotus feet, and somehow or other be able to render some insignificant service. And in this way, there's still hope for all of us.
Well said. Thank you. One thought that came to me in reading what we just read is King Mucukunda was humbly admitting that due to his royal power, he became puffed up. And I just read today how Prince Andrew was being stripped of all his royal, his position as, general, colonel in the RAF, Royal Air Force. It's because of his dalliance with Epstein's, his island and the young ladies that he brought there. And I was thinking how humiliating that is, that he had such a renowned position in the world, and because of absorption in sense gratification, the Queen is officially stripping him of all his titles, and he's hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt and court, etc., etc. Nrsinga Prabhu, before you start reading, did you have a comment to make on anything that we've read so far, or are you good?
There we go. Sorry, yes, my screen wasn't sharing. I went through a little technical hitch.
Fine. Okay, right. What is to be done? What is next? I was thinking about that's the condition of the world right now, right? Everyone's full of anxieties. What are they going to do next to us? Max passports, and they're taking away the money of the senior citizens. And what's next? What is to be done?
The truth, the real truth is, we live today in an environment where we've been educated in a completely bogus linear movement of time, where the world began however many years ago. It was all by chance and chaos, and things have congealed into more and more order. Eventually, consciousness, human beings appeared, and now we're the greatest that's ever been. We're the most advanced, we're the most progressive. We have knowledge that's never been seen before. Everything about us is so great and new. And so everything's very significant because everything's new and we're working it out as we advance. This is all complete garbage. As devotees, we know time is cyclical, and there have been incalculable universes, and each universe has 360 of Lord Brahma's years, and each year has a day, and each day has 1,000 Kali Yugas. And everything is nothing new at all in material life. So all these details, these are very boring. This is on replay. It's on replay over and over and over and over. And, to a point we get excited and caught up in it. But I mean, really, it's just the same old, the clothing, the bottle of...
The same old, same old. Your voice went out. I don't
and
know
it's
what happened.
happening in, huh?
Your voice went out.
Oh, well, you're fortunate. But as birth, disease, old age, and death, that's all. There's nothing new going on. There really isn't. Vaccines or the demons do their things. There's a little bit of difference in detail. It's not that exciting. It really isn't. This is why everybody has to, engage in so many different forms of distraction, because it's so boring. Actually, material life is so boring and dry, I think.
Yeah, I hope I come to that realization myself.
Well, me too. I hope I do too. I'm still absolutely fascinated by, the varieties of imagination of materialists. But, this other stuff gets old. Ooh, that's a big spider.
Would you like to read the next two paragraphs?
Yeah, I would love to. Let me just drink this water, if I may.
Okay. And then anyone, Rasangi, Bavatrini, in your hurry, please let us know whenever any of you are ready to read, okay?
Okay. Yet, in spite of our being so absorbed in material thought, inevitable time, which is only a form of yourself, is always careful about its duty, and as soon as the allotted time is over, your lordship immediately ends all the activities of our material dreams. As the time factor, you end all our activities as the hungry black snake swiftly swallows up a small rat without any leniency. Due to the action of cruel time, the royal body, which was always decorated with gold ornaments during life, and which moved on a chariot drawn by beautiful horses, or on the back of an elephant, nicely decorated with golden ornaments, and which was advertised as the king of human society, that same royal body decomposes under the influence of inevitable time and becomes fit for being eaten by worms and insects, or being turned into ashes, or the stool of an animal. This beautiful body may be nice while in the living condition, but after death, even the body of a king is eaten by an animal and therefore turns into stool, or is cremated in the crematorium and turned into ashes, or is put into an earthly grave where different kinds of worms and insects are produced out of it. My dear Lord, not only do we become under the full control of this inevitable time after death, but also while living in a different way. For example, I may be a powerful king, and yet when I come home after conquering over the world, I become subjected to many material conditions. It may be that when I come back after being victorious, all subordinate kings come and offer their respects. But as soon as I enter into the inner section of my palace, I myself become an instrument in the hands of the queens. And for sense gratification, I have to fall down at the feet of women. You don't have to be a king to know this one. The material way of life is so complicated that before taking the enjoyment of material life, one has to work so hard that there's scarcely an opportunity for enjoying. And to attain the youthful condition with all material facilities, one has to undergo severe austerities and penances and become elevated to the heavenly planets. If one gets the opportunity of taking birth in a very rich or royal family, even then, in that condition, he's always anxious to maintain the status quo and prepare for the next life by performing various kinds of sacrifices and by distributing charity. Even in the royal condition of life, one is not only full of anxieties because of political administration, but he's also in anxiety over being elevated to heavenly planets.
That last sentence, does that mean that he's anxious to get to the heavenly planets? Is that
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So he's
Yeah.
anxious for what he's got here and now because of by political administration manipulation. He can lose it, and then he's anxious to make sure that in the next life he continues with a very wonderful this is the consideration of people from a higher age. I don't think many of us are thinking about, how the life in the heavenly planets, it's the natural due following how we behave in this life.
Oh, there is a quote by Prabhupada. I remember hearing him say, "The problem with my disciples is they don't want to go back to Godhead, but they want to go to the heavenly planets."
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I've
Did you
never
hear
heard
that?
a devotee mention that.
Avadut Maharaj, did you hear that one? Are you there? I can't tell. Is he still with us? Yes, he is. Ask him to unmute. He's deep in samadhi, it seems.
Okay, yeah, I haven't heard that.
You did hear that or you did not?
No, I have not heard that.
Yeah, I think I heard Bhagavan make that statement that Prabhupada said, my problem with my disciples, they don't want to go back to the spiritual world. They want to go to the heavenly planets. Did you hear that, Bhavatrini, before?
No.
No?
Maybe he was speaking directly to Bhagavan.
Maybe. Okay.
I remember the opulence.
You're finally free. Yes, you're you're finally free, Bhavatrini, to read.
Yes.
Are you?
Yes.
Okay,
let me
and then
see.
your Hari is free. Or he's busy?
He'll be back in a second. He's
Okay. Okay. So it is very,
indisposed.
therefore very difficult. That's where we are right now.
Okay. It is therefore very difficult to get out of the material entanglement. But somehow or other, if one is favored by you, by your mercy only, he is given the opportunity to associate with a pure devotee. That is the beginning point of liberation from the entanglement of material conditional life. My dear Lord, only by the association of pure devotees is one entrapped by your lordship, who is the controller of both the material and spiritual existences. You are the supreme goal of all pure devotees, and by association with pure devotees, one can develop his dormant love for you. Therefore, development of Krishna consciousness is in the association of pure devotees is the cause of liberation from this material entanglement. My dear Lord, you are so merciful that in spite of being reluctant to associate with you, with your great devotees, you have shown your extreme mercy upon me as a result of my slight contact with a pure devotee like Garga Muni. By your causeless mercy only have I lost all my material opulences, my kingdom, and my family. I do not think that I could have gotten rid of all these entanglements without your causeless mercy. Kings and emperors accept the life of austerity to forget the royal condition of life. But by your special causeless mercy, I have already been bereft of the royal condition. Other kings exert themselves to get out of the attachment of kingdom and family by acceptance of the hardships of renunciation. But by your mercy, I do not need to become a mendicant or to practice renunciation.
Does anyone know what he's referring to when he said that by slight contact with a pure devotee like Garga Muni?
I was going to ask that question.
Okay. Avadut Maharaj, do you know the answer to that, please?
What was the question again?
Bob Trini was reading that there is a reference here where Mucukunda, King Mucukunda is making reference to how it is great mercy that he had contact with a pure devotee like Garga Muni. So I'm wondering if there's some other story related to that, if you know.
Okay, so Mucukunda is speaking here, right?
Mhm. Talking about the mercy of the Lord and how it comes in the...
I have no knowledge of that relationship.
Okay. Thank you for reading. You read 2 paragraphs, right?
I thought it, yes, I did. I thought it was interesting that Kalyavana was a creation of Garga Muni, the one that he burnt to ashes.
To curse the Yadu dynasty.
Kalyavan was the creation of Gargamuni?
Yeah, he was a curse.
We read this.
We read that with you the other day.
Yeah.
Okay, you got better memory than me.
His brother was making fun of him, and the Yadu dynasty was there, and they laughed at his brother, Gargamuni's brothers,
Who was a king.
mocking him. So Gargamuni cursed them, and the result of it was Kalyavana. the
Can we
one that
see your
was-
face? We just
Oh.
see half of your bodies.
Sorry, the one that was just burnt up by Mucukunda.
Yeah, Kalyavan. Mhm.
He was a curse of Gargamuni's.
Oh, that's right. That's correct. Yep. Thank you for remembering. Okay. So, really happy to see that our dear god sister Bhumi Devi Dasi has joined us here. Welcome, Bhumi. Obeisances to you. Thank you so much for joining.
Where is she?
She's here in a little black box. She actually came on the camera for a second and then
Oh,
she
there you are.
Bhumi,
disappeared.
Haribol.
Haribol, Bhumi.
Hare
And
Krishna,
Shikarani has come. Yay. And
Haribol,
Piper has come.
Sikarani.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
So I don't know how many more paragraphs are left, but why don't we each read one paragraph so that everyone gets a chance to read. Hari, you're ready to read?
Yes, if you like me to.
You haven't read at all, so could you please read the paragraph? Where are we?
My dear Lord.
My dear Lord. Yeah.
My dear Lord, I therefore pray that I may simply be engaged in rendering transcendental loving service unto your lotus feet, which is the ambition of pure devotees who are freed from all kinds of material contamination. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and you can offer me anything I want, including liberation. But who is such a foolish person that after pleasing you, he would ask from you something which might be the cause of entanglement in this material world? I do not think any sane man would ask such a benediction from you. I therefore surrender unto you because you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are the super soul living in everyone's heart, and you are the impersonal Brahman effulgence. Moreover, you're also this material world, because this material world is only the manifestation of your external energy. Therefore, from any angle of vision, you are the supreme shelter for everyone. Everyone, either in the material plane or in the spiritual plane, must take shelter under your lotus feet. I therefore submit unto you, my Lord. For many, many births, I have been suffering from the threefold miseries of this material existence. I am now tired of it. I have simply been impelled by my senses, and I am never satisfied. I therefore take shelter of your lotus feet, which are the source of all peaceful conditions of life, and which can eradicate all kinds of lamentation caused by material contamination. My dear Lord, you are the super soul of everyone, and you can understand everything. Now I am free from all contamination of material desire. I do not wish to enjoy this material world, nor do I wish to take advantage of merging into your spiritual effulgence, nor do I wish to meditate upon your localized aspect of Paramatma, for I know that simply by taking shelter of you, I shall become completely peaceful and undisturbed.
Thank you. Rasangi, are you able to read now, or are you still busy? Rasangi?
Okay, I can read.
Thank you.
On hearing this statement of King Mucukunda, Lord Krishna replied, "My dear king, I am very much pleased with your statement. You've been the king of all the lands on this planet, but I'm surprised to find that your mind is now free from all material contamination. You are now fit to execute devotional service. I'm most pleased to see that, although I offered you the opportunity of asking from me any kind of benediction, you did not take advantage of asking for material benefit. I can understand that your mind is now fixed in me, and it is not disturbed by any material fault."
Thank you. Bhumi, are you able to read? Can you read, please? Bhumi, Prabhu?
Okay, I can read. Hi,
Thank you.
Cora.
Jai Bhumi, long time no see.
I know Rasangi told me I had to come on today. So
She's a great Sankirtan devotee. She knows how to recruit.
yes, you recruited me. Which pair are we on, my dear king, or the
No,
material
the
qualities?
qualities are 3.
No, my dear king.
Oh, my
Oh.
dear king. Okay.
Really? Did you read that previous
Oh,
paragraph?
no. You're right. The
Yeah.
material qualities. Go ahead. Sorry.
The material qualities are 3, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. When one is placed in the mixed material qualities of passion and ignorance, he is impelled by various kinds of dirtiness and lusty desires to try to find comfort in this material world. When he is situated in the material quality of goodness, he tries to purify himself by performing various kinds of penances and austerities. When one reaches the platform of a real Brahmin, he aspires to merge into the existence of the Lord. But when one desires simply to render service unto the lotus feet of the Lord, that is transcendental to all these 3 qualities. The pure Krishna conscious person is therefore always free from all material qualities.
Thank you, Bhumi. Sika Rani, would you like to read a paragraph?
Yeah. The vivid example verifying this statement is Viswamitra Muni.
No, my dear king.
Oh, okay.
My dear king.
My dear king, I offered to give you any kind of benediction just to test how much you have advanced in devotional service. Now I can see that you are on the platform of the pure devotees because your mind is not disturbed by any kind of greedy or lusty desires of this material world. The yogis who are trying to elevate themselves by controlling the senses and who meditate upon me by practicing the breathing exercises of pranayama are not so thoroughly freed from material desires. It has been seen in several cases that as soon as there is allurement, such yogis again come down to the material platform. The vivid example verifying this statement is Viswamitra Muni. Viswamitra Muni was a great yogi who practiced pranayam, a breathing exercise, but still, when he was visited by Menaka, a society or woman of the heavenly planet, he lost all control and begot in her a daughter named Shakuntala, but the pure devotee Haridasa Thakur was never disturbed, even when all such allurements were offered by the prostitutes.
Okay, Piper, you haven't read.
Okay. My dear king, Lord Krishna continued, I therefore give you the special benediction that you will always think of me. Thus you will be able to traverse this material world freely without being contaminated by the qualities. This statement of the Lord confirms that a person in true Krishna consciousness, engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord under the direction of the spiritual master, is never subjected to the contamination of material qualities. My dear king, the Lord. Oh.
Okay, well, I'm not sure any more paragraphs are left here. Okay. Is there anybody else that didn't read, just so they get a chance? Did Avadut Maharaj leave, or did he come back? Because he said he had a comment that he wanted to share with us. And
Yeah, I'm
Jay,
here.
what's up?
I didn't unmute.
Oh, Jai Maharaj, would you
Um,
like to finish? We've only got these 2 paragraphs left. So would you like to finish them and then give your Siddhanta, please?
Sure, why not? My dear king, the Lord said, because you are a Kshatriya, you have committed the offense of slaughtering animals, both in hunting and in political engagements. To become purified, just engage yourself in bhakti yoga practice and always keep your mind absorbed in me. Very soon you will be free of all reactions to such sordid activities. In this statement, it appears that although the Kshatriyas are allowed to kill animals in the hunting process, they are not free from the contamination of other sinful reactions. Therefore, it does not matter whether one is a Kshatriya, Vaishya, or a Brahmana. Everyone is recommended to take sannyas at the end of life, Gora, to engage himself completely, Mahabhuti, in the service of the Lord and become free from all sinful reactions of his past life, Nishingadas. The Lord then assured King Mucukunda, in your next life, you'll take birth as a first-class Vaishnava, the best of the Brahmins, and in that life, your only business will be to engage yourself in my transcendental service. The Vaishnava is a first-class Brahmin because one who had not acquired the qualifications of a bona fide Brahmin cannot come to the platform of a Vaishnava. Again, one who has not acquired the qualification of a bona fide Brahmin cannot come to the platform of a Vaishnava. When one comes to the platform of a Vaishnava, he is completely engaged in the welfare activities of all living entities. The highest welfare activity for the living entities is preaching of Krishna consciousness. It's stated herein that those who are specifically favored by the Lord can become absolutely Krishna conscious and be engaged in the preaching work of the Vaishnava philosophy. Thus end the Bhagavad purport, the 50th chapter of Krishna and Deliverance of Mucukunda. Now, my comment.
Jai Maharaj, can we see your transcendental form, please?
Oh, you don't want to see my form. It's material, Gora. It's not spiritual.
Are you a Mayavadi in disguise, Maharaj?
No, I mean, I have taken Diksha mantras in the Vaishnava Sampradaya, Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya.
Well, how am I to think that
And
you're...
I'm the one who read History of Mayavad and published it on audible.com.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
As Beyond Nirvana.
But to say that your form is Maya, that sounds like Mayavad philosophy to me.
It's born and it's going to die. Maybe tomorrow or the next day, but it's definitely not transcendental like Krishna's body.
Is this Radha Kund? Is that what the photo is that you're showing us?
No, that's in South Africa. I mean, beyond that rock in the background is the ocean below South Africa, and that's like a little pool that came in from the ocean.
Uh-huh. Well, actually, for those who are not familiar, Avadut Maharaj started out as Upananda Prabhu in 1969 from our Berkeley temple. And then he went to Australia and he helped to open up the Sydney temple, Melbourne temple, Brisbane temple. Then he went to New Zealand. Then he opened up Fiji. And then from there he went to Africa and he opened up Ghana. And I'm not sure, Nigeria, Maharaj? And
Yes.
Lagos?
Lagos.
Yeah. And anything else? Did I miss something?
How did you get the name Avadut Maharaj?
Yes. He took sannyas from Srila Narayan Maharaj.
And he gave you that name?
Yes, he said, you can choose your name. And he said, what name you want? So there's 3 names. Because there's like 108 names you choose from. I read off 2 names and I said, well, there's one more name, Avadut. And then Narayan Raj said, yes, Avadut. So he confirmed that name.
That's awesome.
And Kavi Chandra Swami, your old friend, also confirmed that you are quite the Avadut.
And what is I mean, I have a general idea of what Avadut means, but what is the exact definition?
The exact definition is, in my opinion, is unconventional.
Thank you. Maharaj, you said earlier you had some points to make on this chapter.
Lord Brahma went after his daughter. His daughter's name was Bak, and apparently she was attractive. So he began excited sexually and pursued her she took the form of a hind, he took the form of a stag. And when his sons, who were when the sons of Marichi saw this, then they began to laugh and joke. How is this, the original deity of the universe is running after his own daughter. So even though they were, very exalted, Brahma's very exalted, it goes to show you have to be careful when you criticize people in higher places.
Mm.
Because Brahma then cursed them to take birth as demons. So they became sons of Kalanimi. And afterwards, they became Kamsa's nephews, the sons of Devaki, who were killed by Kamsa. So Kalanimi had a daughter named Vrinda, who was married to Jalandhar. And this is Vrinda Devi. So there is a scripture, a Purana, that talks about Radha and Krishna having a little spat in the spiritual world, whereby Sridham, comes to Krishna's support because he was seen with a gopi enjoying, and Radha got upset. So when Sudam came to support Krishna, she cursed her own brother, according to the Purana, to take birth in the mature world as Jalandhar. And then Vrinda, who was, caught with Krishna, was cursed by Radha to also come to the mature world. So Vrinda married Jalandhar, who was Sridham, although she always had a desire to marry Krishna. So in the, I don't know which Purana, Padma Purana, whatever, Jalandhar was invincible as long as Vrinda was faithful to him. So one final battle, Jalandhar was fighting with Lord Shiva. And during that battle, Krishna disguised himself as Jalandhar and went back to the house or the palace where Vrinda was. So she didn't recognize that he wasn't really Jalandhar, he was Krishna disguised. So when Krishna as Jalandhar called her into the bedroom, she obliged him. And then in the intimacy, she said, wait a minute, you're not my husband. And then Krishna revealed himself and she said, oh, you sneak. You hard-hearted soul, I curse you to become a stone.
Oh,
So that stone was Shaligram. And Krishna said, all right, then if you want me to be a stone, then you become a tree. So then Vrinda became a Tulsi tree. So anyway,
wow.
She was a daughter of Kalanini.
Wow.
So anyway, it's very involved. And then Brahma had given a blessing to the sons of Marichi that they wouldn't be killed. But then later described that Brahma cursed them to have to sleep in Patala, the lowest planet in the kingdom, in the universe. So they couldn't be killed, but they were put to sleep. And then anyway, they were reborn as, the sons of Devaki. Although originally they were sons of Murchi. Murchi was one of the, progenitors of the universe. So anyway, this is an interesting history. I just thought I'd mention that.
Wow, you have an amazing memory. Thank you. I'm going to have to review that to get it all again. I prepared a slideshow of slides to go along with this chapter. I did a little research, and if devotees are interested to see it. So this corresponds, Krishna book chapter 50, the Deliverance of Mucukunda, is actually chapter 51 in the Bhagavatam. And here is a painting of Krishna and Balaram fleeing from the army of King Kaliyavan from 1760. Oh, I just realized I'm not sharing this screen right now. Excuse me. Okay, there. Good. Sorry. Okay, can everyone see that?
Yeah, it's small. It's very small.
Yeah. Okay.
But I love your slideshow.
Let me hold on.
It. How do we make it where
Okay,
you are?
here we go. How's that? How's that?
Oh, still
Better?
small.
Did
You're
you-
really big, and your picture's really small. You're big, and the painting is small.
I don't want to be big. I want to be small. Does a painting appear small to everyone else?
No,
No, no, you may have to play
biggest
with your
on the
phone.
screen.
Mandy.
What?
you're small and the picture's big.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
There
what
it is. There it is. I got it. I see it.
Sikarani, is there any way I can maximize the screen? I hit the thing called format and I made the painting bigger. Anything else I can do, Sikarani?
Yeah,
You're
in
the
the
digital guru.
In Zoom, select 100% on the left hand side.
You want me
Right.
to go?
Yeah, it says
The
Zoom
left
50.
side on the top, where it is 56%,
Oh, yeah?
make it 100%.
Okay, thank you. Wow, it's so big you can't even. All right, you can see Krishna and Balaram. They're up in the mountain there. Do you see them? Do you see Krishna in the yellow
Yeah.
and Balaram?
Yeah.
And then there's Kaliyavan's army chasing after them. And the 100% is too big. You can't see. It's so big that it's not possible to see the full. Because do you know what I'm saying? It's a little imbalanced now. I'll try 75%. That's a little better, I guess. Yeah.
Try
So yeah.
50%.
Now, so Krishna and Balaram lead Kaliyavan into the cave, and then Mucukunda is woken up, and he fries Kaliyavan to the max. And here's a painting from 1775. This is entitled "The Burning of Kaliyavan," and this is Maharaj Parikshit inquiring from Shukadev Goswami as this chapter started. This is a painting from 1775.
Wow.
Here's King Mucukunda.
It looks like
This
it's
is,
from the same artist.
It is. It is. It's actually, you'll see, these are just close-ups of a larger painting. I mean, of a complete painting. So
Oh,
there's, yeah, here is Kaliyavan coming to disturb Mucukunda. And this is again from 1775. Kaliyavan disturbs Mucukunda. Here's Krishna. He's watching everything as it's going on. Krishna observing. This is Krishna when he was still running into the cave. Actually, I should reverse that order. I should put actually Krishna here. Good. Okay. And so here's the composite. I guess you'd call this the composite painting. Like this includes everything here of what we just saw.
Wow.
Yeah. That's
Who is it that's on fire?
That's Kaliyavan that gets
Oh.
put on fire. because of Mucukunda's anger, because he had the benediction
Sleeping,
from
right?
pardon?
Because he was sleeping, right?
Yeah, because he had been fighting for many years and he was exhausted, and he asked the demigods for a benediction that he could sleep as long as he needed, and if anyone disturbed him, he could fry them to the max. This is 1820 to 1830. This is Krishna luring King Kalyavan to the cave of Mucukunda, where he is burnt to ashes. That's a Kangra style of art. I don't know what is the difference between Kangra or which part of India that is. Maybe Nanda Patni would have known, but she's still recovering from her surgery. And we see over here, this is what's left of Kalyavan.
Which place you said? Kangra?
Kangra, yeah. Do you know?
No, I can check.
Okay. Here's a 1930 painting of the same pastime. Actually, in the Krishna book, it describes that I believe that Krishna he's
Himachal
appearing
Pradesh, where you went,
Vasudev in his forearm form.
Gaura Prabhu.
Yes?
That's Himachal Pradesh, where you went for your
Oh,
detox.
just outside of Punjab, near the Himalayas.
Yes.
So here's a painting from 1769. Vishnu appears to King Mucukunda in a cave in the Himalayas. Isn't that beautiful? 1769.
Beautiful.
Indian opaque watercolor and gold on paper. And next, to keep everyone hanging in anticipation, Rukmini's message to Lord Krishna, which is the 52nd chapter of the Bhagavatam, which in the Krishna book is known as Krishna, the Ranchor. That's coming up on
What does
Wednesday.
Ranchor mean? Is that kidnapper?
No, that means one who runs away from a battlefield.
Coward, there's a coward.
Oh, okay.
A coward.
Not cowherd, coward. C-O-W.
I didn't say coward.
Run means battlefield, chore means one who leaves it and runs, like
Yeah.
basically leaves the battlefield.
I
That's
see.
the advantage of being born in India. You understand all this terminology, Shikarani. Sikarani, please meet my dear god sister Bhumi Devi Dasi. She's Prabhupada's disciple since the early 70s. Shikarani is running our Bhakti Yoga Club in Rochester Institute of Technology. She invited me a couple of times across the border. It's about a 2-hour drive for me from here. And that's how I met her. And so she's done a lot to help spread Krishna consciousness to hundreds and hundreds of university students. This is where Yadubar and Vishaka, they graduated from RIT in the 60s.
What is that RIT Institute of Technology from
Rochester.
Institute of
New York?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Nice to meet you.
And Piper here is from California originally. She's, I guess you call it, is that the right term? Equestrian? Piper, you cared for horses?
Rides horse.
Equestrian. Equestrian? Yeah.
Yeah. And she lives in Atlanta with her husband, Rasik Prabhu.
Rasika Shikar Das.
She's coming from Yogananda's community, but she was wanting more Krishna than what Yogananda could offer her.
Yeah, we always.
Abadud was saying the picture was from South Africa. My husband's from South Africa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which part of South Africa is your picture from, Avadut Maharaj?
Ramsgate.
Mm.
Ramsgate is near south of Durban, maybe 4 hours south of Durban.
Okay, yeah.
South Africa.
He's from Durban.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
and I just wanted to say that in the purport, there was a reference being made to as King Mucukunda was speaking about the folly of becoming too absorbed in the material world, and there was a reference being made to how it's like a deep dark well, and that reminded me of this verse. Nate svitu swarta gatim hi vishnum durashaya ye bahir artamanina andayatandair upaniyamanas te pishatantriam urudam nibada. Translation. Bhumi, would you like to read the translation to that?
Sure. Persons who are
Persons?
strongly entrapped by the consciousness of enjoying material life and who have therefore accepted as their leader or guru a similar blind man attached to external sense objects cannot understand that the goal of life is to return home back to Godhead and engage in the service of Lord Vishnu. As blind men guided by another as blind men guided by another blind man miss the right path and fall into a ditch, materially attached men led by another materially attached man are bound by the ropes of fruitive labor, which are made of very strong cords, and they continue again and again in materialistic life, suffering the threefold miseries. Jai.
Thank you. Purport. Since there must always be a difference of opinion between demons and devotees, Hiranyakashipu, when criticized by his son Prahlad Maharaj, should not have been surprised that Prahlad Maharaj differed from his way of life. Nonetheless, Hiranyakashipu was extremely angry and wanted to rebuke his son for deriding his teacher or spiritual master, who had been born in the Brahmin family of the great Acharya Shukracharya. The word Shukra means semen, and Acharya refers to a teacher or guru. Hereditary gurus or spiritual masters have been accepted everywhere since time immemorial, but Prahlad Maharaj declined to accept such a seminal guru or take instruction from him. An actual guru is a Shrotriya, one who has heard or received perfect knowledge through parampara, the disciplic succession. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj did not recognize his seminal spiritual master. Such spiritual masters are not at all interested in Vishnu. Indeed, they are hopeful of material success. Bahir Arta Manina. The word Bahi means external, Arta means interest, and Manina means taking very seriously. Generally speaking, practically everyone is unaware of the spiritual world. The knowledge of the materialist is restricted within the 4 billion mile limit of this material world. I didn't know there was a limit of 4 billion, which is in the dark portion of the creation. They do not know that beyond the material world is the spiritual world. Unless one is a devotee of the Lord, one cannot understand the existence of the spiritual world. Gurus, teachers who are simply interested in this material world are described in this verse as andha, blind. Such blind men may lead many other blind followers without true knowledge of material conditions, but they are not accepted by devotees like Prahlad Maharaj. Such blind teachers, being interested in the external material world, are always bound by the strong ropes of material nature. Avadut Maharaj, do you have something you'd like to say about this purport, this verse? If you're still there, I don't know. Are you still there, Avadut Maharaj? I'm having a look. I guess he is not there. Okay, Bhavatrini Nurhari, would you like to say something about this verse?
No, Prabhu, it's okay. I don't know if Atrin you would like to comment.
No.
No, we're okay.
Bhumi,
Yeah, coming. Hold on.
hey, Piper, were you saying something?
It says Hiranyakashipu was extremely angry and wanted to rebuke his son for deriding his teacher, spiritual master, who had been born in the Brahmin family of the great Acharya Shukracharya. He had been born in the family, or his spiritual master was Shukracharya? Or was the spiritual master just born in the family of Shukracharya? Who was Hiranyakashipu's spiritual master?
Probably Shukracharya.
Mm-hmm. He was also the spiritual master of Bali Maharaj.
Okay.
So it's got to be Shukracharya.
Uh-huh. It's just the way the sentence was, it was reading, it looks like.
Yeah.
Who had been born in the Brahmin family of. So I thought maybe it was somebody else.
Mm. So the teacher guru.
All right. Does anyone have any further comments or questions before we end our reading session for tonight?
I used to know a devotee named Shukra. Did you know him, Gora?
Oh, Shukra. Yeah, he actually came. He was in the Winnipeg Temple when I just joined there. Yeah, he came to Chicago with Shivaram Swami.
But there must be another meaning. I can't imagine that someone would be named
Semen.
Semen.
I'd like to make one comment. In Marathi language, Shukravar is another name for, I think, Friday.
Yeah, Shukra.
Yes, Sukracharya is Venus.
Yes, Venus.
Oh, it's
exactly.
Venus?
Yes.
Oh.
The presiding deity.
And also the planet system, there is Venus, right? That's also Shukra. So even in astrology, it has a lot of significance.
Yes.
Yeah.
One thing that stands out in this, can you put back the dialogue?
Yeah. Are we able to see your face, or do you want to be black with a white name?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I know.
Do you want to see the purport?
Yes, because I want to pronounce Shrotriya. I mean, sound. So the actual guru is Shrotriya, one who has heard or received perfect knowledge through parampara. But it's all, and so many of the acharyas have said actually the only way to really see the spiritual world, see the spiritual Lord, have connection to him is through sound. So it's interesting. And that's how we get wake up to realities through sound, isn't it? The spiritual master gives us the Maha Mantra, gives us the Diksha mantras all through the year.
There's a verse like that from Vedanta Sutra, Om, I forget the shlok now, but yeah, everything is dependent upon sound vibration. And Shastra Chakshu, sing through the eyes of the Shastras.
Yes.
Instead of through blind men.
Right. Or those who have title, or those who have been externally voted to a position of so-called guru or pope or like that.
Well, one could debate on that point that if they're getting the votes of other sadhus, then I get that. Doesn't that mean that they've been verified to be a sadhu themselves? If all the other sadhus think, oh yes, he is also sadhu, he is also capable of initiating.
Yeah, on our line we have some examples like that. Like Bhakti Rakshar Dev Goswami Maharaj giving all his mercy to Bhakti Sundar Govinda Maharaj and appointing him the next Acharya. But if we go by that, some would say, well, Prabhupada wasn't bona fide. As you saw the letter where he's asking his godbrothers to advise and to take sannyas, they want him to be under the society, and then when they were ready, they will send him to the West.
All right. Well, here on the East Coast of North America, we have 20 after 9. So if there's no further comments or questions, then we can meditate on King Mucukunda's instructions and Krishna's mercy that he bestowed upon him.
Jai.
Pray for the same. And thank you very much for purifying me with your association, and I hope to see everybody. Oh, Nitya Leela is finally coming at the very end. All the way from Pakistan.
Nitya Leela.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, I am actually traveling, so catching the flight.
We pack in.
Oh, you're going somewhere?
No, we're packing the Bhagavad Gita for going to ship tomorrow.
So, Yenitalila, we had a message. We're going to ship tomorrow the 10 Bhagavad Gitas to you. And
Okay.
on the address that you send us, is there a postal code?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's the same address. Yeah.
Okay. Is there a postal code or number to add it on to that address?
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah.
Perhaps you can send it to us through Messenger, please.
Sure, sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bhumi, for coming tonight. I hope you can join us this Wednesday and for more Krishna book. And Fridays, we're going through the Nectar of Instruction, reading the commentaries of Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, Srila Radha Raman Goswami, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, reading from 5 different commentaries, so we can go really deep
Well, you're
into.
really ambitious.
Yeah, Krishna gave me that inspiration. So
Today we learned that there is about 36, and there's more actually, commentators, bona fide commentators to Srimad Bhagavatam.
wow,
And we were writing the names. We have a list of the names and their commentaries, what they're called.
But there's
36.
Yeah.
There's more.
There is more, but some of these books are out of print or very difficult to find. This is a work of, probably took some time to collect by Bhakti Swarup Sridhar Maharaj and Orissa. He's a TP of the temple, the Bhakti Vibhav Puri Maharaj temple. And right there next to is Sangundicha.
How many translations did Prabhupada use? About a dozen, I heard, for his synthesis of the Bhagavatam.
Probably so. Number one, Sridhar, Sridhar Goswami Pad.
Right, he is the predecessor. No, is that the right word? Predecessor? He came before?
Yes.
Or contemporary? Contemporary means after, right?
No, contemporary means at the same time, born in the same time.
And predecessor means before.
Yes.
So Sridhar Swami was the one predecessor of Lord Chaitanya.
Yeah, and he was the number one commentator of Srimad Bhagavatam according to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So
what a difficult service Prabhupada did, waking up at 1 o'clock every morning to synthesize a dozen commentaries from all the great acharyas just for us.
I saw him translating. I guarded him in Mayapur one night. Lucky because I have good friends up there, Gargamuni and Keshava. So Prabhupada went took rest at 9 o'clock in the same place that he had sat, and the world went by. He had a mosquito net over the desk, and he took rest on his mat, right there where he was sitting. And 2 hours later, at 11 p.m., he turned on the light, and on his desk, I could see the dictaphone and a huge, maybe a 2,000-page volume of, I'm sure it was Sridhar Swami. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. All right, so we'll see everybody Wednesday, Krishna willing. Please accept my respectful obeisances. Vanchakopa Trubhischa, Kripa Sindhu Bhivacha, Patitanang Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Thakur Nandi.